Alright, so we are back with a follow-up to yesterday's video where we talked about Engadget's leaked review that got quickly taken down. And the reason we are doing a follow-up video is that now we have the entire review. There was a cache of the website on Google. It wasn't working yesterday. I knew about this already. People were talking about it, but every link I was getting was giving me an error 404 message. And that's the only reason I didn't mention it yesterday, because it'd be pointless to be like, hey guys, we have the cache of the website, but there's an error and you can't read it. It's like, what's the point in mentioning that? But today, for whatever reason, it's working. So I've read the entire review. There's a couple ways you can go about reading this review if you personally want to. For one, there's a Reddit post that I'll have linked in the description below where somebody put the information on Reddit, also shared my video and stuff like that, which is pretty cool of them. I appreciate that. And somebody within those comments of that Reddit post actually copied the text entirely. If you want to read it there, they also link to the cache of the website. You can also go to the comment section of our last video. I believe somebody also copied the text and put it there, and there's probably a couple links to the website as well. And part of the reason why we're doing a follow-up video is I want to kind of go over the information we got from the Engadget review, the things that I found interesting. He says in the article that it's a spoiler-free review, and it is sort of, but there's also some spoilers. So I'll give you a spoiler warning here, because there's some big stuff in this. So before we really hop into it, I think this is arguably the most important aspect of this review. That Google preview we got, the text we got of the downtime and all that stuff, was actually a bit deceptive. That was actually at the very end of the article, and he's actually kind of complaining that they did not show the downtime. It's pretty much just a combat preview. And that is a bit troubling, man. I'm okay with a linear game. I can play those kinds of games. Not every game has to be super massive or open world, but I do want as much to do as possible in this. And if it's a very tunnel-oriented game, you're just kind of walking forward all the time, and there isn't downtime stuff, man, it's gonna be a bit of a letdown after waiting all this time for this game. That's just my opinion. So the preview that everybody got to play starts at the very beginning of the game, right after the intro movie, so on the train platform at the very beginning of the bomb mission. They get to play all of Chapter 1, and then it skips forward to a later chapter. He didn't specify which chapter it was, but Tifa is on the team, and they go into the Abzu boss fight. So that's, Wall Market, Don Corneo, all that stuff. So that's, a little bit into the game. But oddly enough, later on in the review, kind of near the end, he talks about the Airbuster boss fight, which would take place before the Wall Market stuff. That's the Sector 5 reactor, the second reactor to blow up in the original game. That would take place before Wall Market. So I'm not sure if he just did the review out of order, or if they did Chapter 1, jump to Wall Market, Abzu, jump back to the Airbuster boss fight. I'm not exactly sure. But something interesting he touched on in the article is that during the escape segment of the Sector 5 reactor, you can actually come across access cards and hack terminals to weaken Airbuster, to cut off some of his weapons, probably the lasers or missiles or something like that. And his review seems to imply that this is entirely optional, but I couldn't quite tell. But the main thing to take away from all of this is they're not doing a solid 3-hour playthrough. They're not playing essentially the first 3 hours of Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's very determined by Square Enix. They finish Chapter 1 and jump forward to some time around the Abzu boss fight. Something he mentioned is that Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge do get a lot of screen time when it comes to this first bombing mission, which isn't really surprising. We kind of already knew that. And also, you kind of know that if you watch the demo out there, the leaked demo footage. But what he touches on more specifically is the dialogue they have outside of cutscenes, just kind of when you're walking around after blowing up the first mock reactor. He actually says they talk a little too much. That's his opinion, obviously. He then talks about Cloud having a Sephiroth vision after breaking apart from Avalanche and heading back to the base. And it should be this scene right here from the end of the E3 2019 trailer. And the reason why we know it's this scene right here is because he talks about Cloud having to go through burning buildings, which is obviously what's behind Sephiroth in this scene, alluding to Nibelheim. And he mentions Cloud drawing his sword, attacking at Sephiroth, Sephiroth vanishing, which is obviously everything that happens in this scene. So that was obviously one of the things we needed a spoiler warning for, but so is this next thing, and it's something that surprises me, but also doesn't surprise me. Something I said was going to happen, have been saying was going to happen for a long time, and that's Nibelheim flashbacks. The reason why it does surprise me, however, is that I wasn't expecting that to be a part of this preview that everybody's playing, but what we have is a Tifa flashback. It flashes back to Tifa in the Mount Nibel reactor whenever her father is killed by Sephiroth, and we know it's that scene because she's wearing a cowboy hat. The only time in the original game whenever Tifa wears this outfit is wearing a cowboy hat is obviously during the Nibelheim incident. And the sort of TLDR on what I've been saying is that we needed Nibelheim flashbacks to establish why Cloud hates Sephiroth, why Cloud wants revenge on Sephiroth, why Sephiroth is the actual villain. And I was expecting just Cloud to get Nibelheim flashbacks, but it actually makes sense for Tifa to get it too. Tifa remembers everything, including Cloud's actual past, and she has just as much reason to hate Sephiroth. So it makes a lot of sense. Something else to take note of, which you already know about if you've watched the demo footage that's out there, is that you couldn't fight alongside Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge. So there's still, at this point, about damn near a month away from the game coming out, we still have no confirmation of actual guest characters. We've seen Red 13 fight alongside us, but he's not having a health bar. We can't control him. We can't heal him and things like that. So we don't know exactly yet if there are actual guest characters in the normal way that they are in the other games. One other thing that he touched on that I actually mentioned in my demo review video that I did was that it pretty much seems like Punisher mode is the way to go with Cloud. He talks about how in Punisher mode you hit more often, you hit harder, which is what I mentioned. Other than Cloud moving slowly while in Punisher mode, he seems to combo at the exact same speed, but you're doing more damage. So why would you not always use Punisher mode? But something else that he touched on is that if you block a melee attack while in Punisher mode, Cloud automatically does a counter-strike to that enemy. That was brand new information for me. I had not heard that before. And just a couple of complaints I have with his review is he refers to this being the first part of an episodic saga, which I despise hearing because these are not episodes. This will be about the 200th time I've said this on the channel, but these are multiple full-size games that are coming out years apart. These are not episodes. Episodes imply something like the Telltale games or the episodes that were a part of Final Fantasy 15. That's not what this is. These are full-size games like any other game that has sequels or multiple parts, similar to 10, 10-2, and the 13 trilogy. It's no different. And the other one's kind of weird, but he mentions in his review that there's ghosts that only Cloud and Aerith can see, obviously talking about the Watchmen of Fate, but that's not the case. We see them attacking the 7th Heaven Bar in the Tokyo Game Show trailer. Everybody's seeing them. And obviously the entire team is seeing them at the end of the theme song trailer whenever they're surrounding this Shinra building. So I'm not really sure why he said that. And that's pretty much the Engadget review, at least the things that I felt like were worth talking about that seemed like new information. But the other point of this video was to kind of give you an idea, sort of a preview of the gameplay that we're going to see whenever this NDA is lifted, which should be tomorrow. My main two takeaways from this review were the Nibelheim flashback with Tifa, something I've been talking about for a while. It's nice to get confirmation of that. And the seemingly lack of downtime. We know that there's mini-games, we know that there is side questing, but they don't seem to be super in-depth side quests. And I'm one of the few people out there that doesn't actually mind like monotonous fetch quests, but it's not the only thing I want to do. I don't want to always just go kill the monster and come back and get a handful of gil. Anyways, my dudes, that's the video. Leave your thoughts and more in the comment section below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and want to stay updated with more Final Fantasy 7 Remake content. Turn on my notifications. Follow me on Twitter at @dashingdavid. I'm a Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Give me a smile, give me forever for a while, give me forever for a while. Quit acting like a baby, or at least less like a child. Give me serenity, or at least just peace.